are learning, as is your purpose. But your choices must be your own. Therefore, I will not guide you, unless it is necessary.
Alexandra Drennan was one of the first characters conceived for the game. She functions as a counterpoint to both Elohim and Milton. So in her, the extreme skeptical thinking of Milton and the extreme faith of Elohim kind of meet and transcend each other. She's a synthesis, sublation. She's not dogmatic, but she believes in humanity. So to me, she's really the heart of the game. She's the kind of universalist humanism that really is the best and most important legacy of the Enlightenment personified. And of course, she's inspired very strongly by Carl Sagan. Now, I didn't reread or rewatch anything by Carl Sagan before writing her, but I would not be surprised if there are entire chunks of what she says that are really similar to things that Carl Sagan has written or said. I watched Cosmos on television when I was a young child, and there was such a foundational experience that just kind of echoes in my mind since then. And I've also read a lot of his books, and all of that stuff has just kind of been absorbed. And then it kind of, comes out again in this new form. Again, transformation of things into something else is the foundation of art. An interesting fact about the writing of Alexandra Drennan is that she was rewritten after Erin Fitzgerald was cast. So the initial version of the character was older, and it didn't fit Erin's voice. And Erin was really good, and she brought something interesting to the character. And instead of trying to force her to perform it differently or just finding someone else, what I did is I rewrote the character for her, changed the character's background and everything, and that really made her come alive. Erin just really did an amazing job with that character, and that's, to me, the collaboration with Erin in creating Alexandra and then Athena is really one of the highlights of my career. I directed the recording session, the final recording session for Alexandra Drennan, and when you get to those last moments that are very emotional, that was exactly as emotional to listen to, and very, very powerful. And it was very hard to ask her for a second take, but you have to do a second take for safety. And personally, I do not care about awards or anything like that very much, but I do kind of wish that Erin's work really had been acknowledged by the industry in some form, because she did something really amazing. This is really high caliber acting, and I wish it was recognized.
In the spirit of the original great Croteam tradition, we have crafted this developer island and populated it with famous big head characters representing the Croteam developers, but this time they are having monitors with faces instead of heads. What we have here, what you can see here, is a diverse group of developers who contributed to both the original game and the game that you are currently playing, the Talos Principle Reawakened. As you explore the island, you will be able to see the developers performing some activities that hint at their specific roles within the team. All this experience should offer a glimpse into the creative processes that actually happen behind the scenes.
These worlds, and we within them, are made of words. Hidden words, invisible to you, yet part of all things. We are a story. Your actions give life to the story, and the story gives meaning to your life.
In the original game, we had a hinting system using the QR codes. So what player could do? Player could go to the messenger island, solve several Tetromino Rangers and unlock the messenger, free the messenger, and then later in some of the puzzles he would be able to call in the messenger. So he would write him down a QR code, like a bunch of text, several lines, that would try to, using the text, describe what player should be doing. So like, the textual hint that will help players to solve this puzzle. Well, in more than few occasions, it's really hard for us to write those texts because of the special nature of the puzzles that we, in those labyrinths, you need special awareness where to position what to see some very specific angle and stuff like that. So that was extremely hard to describe using the words, and just people were pretty dissatisfied with doing so much and putting some significant effort into freeing the messenger and then just getting some unhelpful hint that would actually not be helpful at all. So in the Reawakened we switched to the free pass token, the system that we used in the Talos Principle 2, where you could exchange the token. You could find the tokens scattered around the puzzle clusters. And you could exchange those tokens for the Tetromino in the puzzle that you actually use it on the altar. So we were pretty certain that would be more beneficial and welcomed by the players because it was really doing great for the Talos Principle 2, and we did want the players to feel the frustration from the original game.
I think that one of the most important aspects of game writing as a literary form is not interactivity, although that is foundational to how games work, but the fact that game writing is spatial, meaning it exists in three-dimensional space. So inside of a video game, text, meaning any kind of storytelling elements, text is spatially arranged. It's arranged in three-dimensional space. So for example, a video game is the only art form where you can talk to a character and then you can check out their bookshelf and read what books they're reading. And the content can be that content can exist in this particular way because of interactivity, but it's not just about choice, which sometimes things get reduced to, but about the ability to arrange text in these unique ways. So that creates, for Talos Principle, what we kind of call an archaeological structure, meaning there are layers of story that the player can experience. Some of them you're guaranteed to experience, so mainly Elohim, you're always going to experience no matter how you play. But then there's quite a few layers of story that require digging on the player's part. So if you think of the QR codes and the terminals as nodes of story, essentially, that are spread throughout the game, and they create a kind of web of information. And then Elohim is kind of a thread that follows you around because you can't avoid Elohim's story. And then there's Milton and Alexandra, who are two more kind of threads that form a continuous story, but they all kind of manifest differently inside the game space.
Long ago, I shaped these lands according to the purpose of the hidden words. Thus all things have meaning, where before was only...
We never really wanted to tell you how to use any of the mechanics. We wanted to skip the tutorials as much as possible, because they rob you of the discovery and exploration of the mechanics. The puzzles are tutorials, and they slowly teach you what is possible.
Excess.
The game's main and probably only gating system uses colored tetrominos with different shapes and then arrangers or tetromino locks. to unlock the areas and devices. It's a pretty complicated system, it uses many variables that needed to be taken into account because it has many interdependencies, because it needs to account for colors, shapes, and especially for the redundancy. What that means? Redundancy means that we'd like people to have a choice if they're not able to solve one red L puzzle, to be able to find another available puzzle that is also, results in a red L. So they would be able to choose. If they're not able to solve one, they would have another available. So we wanted to maximize this redundancy. And then Alan sits down, Alan, who was our lead programmer at that time, and he has developed this really neat system that would check that all of the requirements are met, and it would result in a list of required tetromino shapes and colors. And once we had that, we took out the blue cardboard and scissors and cut out the shapes from cardboard and arranged them over the paper grids of appropriate size. So, we were playing with that and trying to find out some interesting puzzles and arrangements of those tetrominos on the paper. Once we were satisfied with that, we took a photo of the setup and then recreated it in the game, and then of course went for playtesting and see how they would felt, and it was pretty unexpected results. Some puzzles that felt really simple were giving a headache to some of the players, so we kind of scrapped those and opted for more simple ones, because sometimes some people get really frustrated with not being able to solve tetromino locks. After we have invented the jammer device and created the first set of puzzles and play tested them within the team, we know that we have something really interesting there. But we also knew that we needed more stuff. We needed additional devices to expand the gameplay. When we were thinking about it, we wanted to have something like that would mimic the dynamics of chess, where each piece, each figure has its own unique strengths and weaknesses. Especially weaknesses, these abilities actually allow some very interesting, almost endless strategic combinations. So we set up on a search. We started searching for some new, interesting gameplay elements. The breakthrough actually came with the introduction of connectors and the energy lines. And the idea struck me when I saw my son playing a very, very simple mobile game where the goal would be to connect differently colored dots through a maze. So there was a maze, you had like 2 red dots, 2 yellow dots and 2 blue dots, and you would connect them through the maze. It immediately occurred to me that if I would be able to put this concept in 3D, it could be really, really powerful. This is how we came up with the generators, the idea for the generators, receivers, and connectors. And since then, this has become the core element for most of the game's puzzles. We have tried many implementations and approaches to how to implement this. The connector, we even implemented the version where the connector would connect to all available sources. But it was really complicated and uncontrollable, and we discarded it pretty early. But once we have implemented the final version of connectors, we started to design puzzles with both connectors and jammers and plasma doors and whatnot. And we make like another set of 20-30 puzzles for our developers in team to play test. And that was really amazing. We knew that we were on something. The feedback was overwhelming, and the rest is actually history.
There is much that you may learn in the halls of my temples. for there is much that you do not know. That is why you are a child. But children are made to learn, and in time they come to have dominion over the lands of their home. So it shall be with you and your generations. You have proven yourself worthy, child, and this gate shall be forever open to you. Seek now the other worlds I have given you, that you may attain even greater mastery and bring glory to your kind. But remember, you must not ascend the great tower, for it shall bring death and the end of your generations.